present level of academic achievement and functional performance is also abbreviated PLAAFP, P-L-A-A-F-P. It is usually found just above the goal and objectives. It should include information about your students' communication and language access in different areas. The PLAAFP also should include data about your students' progress in academics and talk about how being deaf or hard of hearing affects access to language and communication in the classroom. It may explain how your student does with vocabulary in different subject areas too. If there is a social, emotional goal, then it should include the impact of being deaf or hard of hearing when in hearing classrooms, or how your student is able to connect with other people who are also deaf or hard of hearing. The prompts in this section will help the IEP team to create PLAAFP that leads to appropriate goals with supporting objectives and services that will meet your students' needs. PLAAFPs for the deaf and hard of hearing student should be written differently. When creating a PLAAFP for an elementary age student, the first paragraph should contain these main points: a brief summary about the student's hearing loss, and also include functional listening information so teachers understand how listening in quiet and noise and with or without speech reading affects a student, or why American Sign Language has been chosen, and the language of that teachers use to teach your student. If the home language is different than English, then that should also be included. Other points include a brief educational history and how access in the classroom with speech reading, use of a sign language interpreter, or cued English transliterator affects the student. A communication and language checklist is found in the discussion guide. It should also be reviewed, and information should be considered when developing the IEP. Also, for students in middle school or high school, results from testing, such as the functional listening evaluation, can also help support the student's needs for accommodations, modifications, and specific services and support provided by the teacher for the deaf and hard of hearing, and other support service providers, such as sign language interpreters, cued English translit, captionists, deaf-blind interveners, or paraprofessionals. Relevant test scores, both formal and informal, current results from evaluations, and classroom performance should be included. If there are concerns, or if the student is doing well at grade level, then that should also be included. If there are areas identified as a concern, the IEP team should include data about the student's current levels and connect that to the Minnesota state standards. This will also help guide the team when determining need statements, goals, and objectives. For example, the PLAAFP for a second grade student who is a struggling reader may contain information such as this. Based on the qualitative reading inventory, Doogie's automatic word identification skills placed him at the independent level, at the primer, and at the frustration level at first grade. According to Minnesota State academic standards, students in second grade need to be able to apply word recognition strategies to decode unfamiliar words. This information can then lead into a goal for Doogie, such as Doogie will increase his reading skills from level 1 automatic word identification with 60% accuracy to level 2 automatic word identification with 70% accuracy. These examples were taken from Appendix 4 within the guide. Information provided in the present level of academic achievement and functional performance should guide the rest of the IEP. When discussing the present level of academic achievement and functional performance for a secondary level student, the IEP team should think about where the student will be after high school. For some students, that may mean moving directly into the workforce, and a goal may need to be added to encourage the student to ask for different services at school. The goal might also include a social-emotional goal to help the student learn how to connect with coworkers or request support from an occupational communication support person. If the student's academic skills are within the average or above average range, and no academic goals are needed, he may need information about the options in the college and work environment, such as connecting with other deaf and hard of hearing students in a post-school setting. An online portfolio could be developed as part of the goal to gather information and save it for the future. Examples of letters to disability services could be included. Although the student's writing skills are on grade level, learning the skills for a specific type of writing often requires a goal. The category for functional skills is broad for hard of hearing and deaf students, and includes those skills needed to function in many different settings, advocating for what the student's needs are. The goal may be an information-related goal in order to know what is available post-school. The IEP should connect the Minnesota State standards to student needs such as speaking and listening, writing, gathering relevant information from multiple sources. These standards can be woven in with information. Examples of PLAAFPs with goals and objectives for students in secondary level are found in Appendix 5 of the discussion guide. For example, a deaf student who is college-bound needs to learn more information specific to access in the college setting. The present level information includes the functional listening evaluation and how much he understands in the high school classroom, with and without speech reading access. This information is helpful when discussing the need for note takers or real-time captioning services in college. It will help Ben to be able to explain why he needs the support services. At the same time, he will learn what they are and watch videos to be able to explain the reasons for support. The information from the PLAAFP leads to the goal for Ben increasing his knowledge and skill related to accommodations in the dorm, with scholarships and disability services. Under the goal is short-term objectives to help Ben create a useful online portfolio with information he needs when applying to colleges and after graduation. Other examples found in Appendix 5 include those for students who continue to have academic needs throughout high school. For transition age students, needs for a variety of skills may change throughout the last 4 years of high school. It is important that the IEP team review the prompts at each meeting and review access in the classroom. Sample PLAAFPs, need statements, measurable goals and objectives can be found in Appendix 4 and 5 of the discussion guide, and should only be referred to as samples when creating a student's individual education plan. We hope this information helps parents and teams to consider the impact that being deaf or hard of hearing has on students throughout elementary and secondary levels in school.